have charged Anthony Smith, a prominent West Philadelphia activist, with 2 counts of arson, aiding and abetting, and obstruction of vehicle by means of fire on May 30th. The incident occurred during unrest in the city following the killing of George Floyd. Smith is also a social studies teacher and one of the organizers for Philadelphia Coalition for Racial, Economic, and Legal Justice. Philly for Real Justice is in the middle of a civil rights lawsuit with the Philadelphia police in response to racial injustice. U.S. Attorney William McSwain held a press conference announcing the charges and reminded protesters that engaging in criminal behavior and acting out of violence will be met with severe consequences.
There were a lot of people that were surrounding these vehicles that were destroyed or torched, and anybody that we can identify that had a role in that, that we can positively identify and the evidence points to, we will charge. And so these are ongoing investigations. It's possible there could be more defendants who are charged in either case.
McSwain said Smith was not targeted by his office.
Mr. Smith was not in any way targeted by my office. I knew nothing about Mr. Smith or his affiliations until the investigation was nearly complete and the proposed charges had been written up by dedicated and capable career federal prosecutors. We do not investigate people at the U.S. Attorney's Office. We investigate alleged criminal behavior.
According to Paul Hetsnecker, Smith's attorney, his client's charges stem from Smith throwing paper into an already burning vehicle.
In my long experience, the way in which the government attempts to try to rope in or connect individuals that have very little to do with the underlying crime with the underlying crime itself and the principal meaning the person who did the crime. So the principal person charged who started the case. And according to the government, as we stand right now, they don't even know who started the fire. What they are alleging is that someone threw a flare into the police vehicle, and then others provided combustible materials, and they've accused Anthony of throwing paper into the vehicle.
In Hetznicker's experience, a crime like Smith's should not skip state level and enter federal jurisdiction. Hetznecker has represented hundreds of activists and protesters over the course of his career. Until 2016, the federal government did not get involved with arresting protesters in Philadelphia.
What they're doing is they're essentially saying, we're going to stick our long arm, our powerful federal arm, and grab these state cases. And they're doing so, they're adopting these cases simply because they're a part of a protest movement, a broad, historic social justice movement and quest for racial justice. They are selecting, in my opinion, based on a political decision, to charge those who have some connection or alleged to have some connection to the burning of a police vehicle. So to me, this is a very dangerous use of the government's power, the federal government's power to criminalize dissent and to criminalize what would typically be, or to federalize what would typically be a state court crime.
Tayyib Smith, principal of Little Giant Creative, says that Smith's case landing in the federal jurisdiction fits in line with Elijah Muhammad and Martin Luther King Jr. Both Tayyib and Anthony were recently recognized in Philadelphia Magazine as one of Philadelphia's 76 most influential people.
I'm not naive enough to not, believe that it's plausible that even when somebody says, well, I don't know how this ended up on my desk, you are aware that there's a history of white state-sponsored oppression that has, coordinated to take the civic rights away from people like Mr. Smith.
Hetsnecker believes the government is using this matter to send a message to the protest movement and the Black Lives Matter movement.
This is an effort to politicize, to use the criminal arm of the Justice Department to go after protests and to send a message to the protest movement and the Black Lives Matter movement in this country, which is a very dangerous message to send.
Judge Henry Perkins ordered Smith to be released to his home in West Philadelphia with electronic monitoring and a curfew, but that order was reversed by Judge Joyner, seeking to keep Smith detained. Hetsnecker advises any activists that have questions to seek an attorney prior to attending a protest. I'm Chantal Belafonte, reporting for PhillyCAM Voices.